This is Healing Through Love. Hey everyone, welcome back to Healing Through Love. My name is Olivia Luna, and I'm just a 32-year-old single woman who has never been in love before. And this podcast is my journey to find a healthy, healing, long-term monogamous relationship. So for those of you who don't know, I started this podcast as a result of joining a matchmaking service, which has been going great. And you can listen to the previous episodes to get an update on how that's going. I can't wait to just continue to deep dive into that process. But also, apart from the matchmaking service, I am still allowed to just kind of date freely on my own. So I thought today I'd kind of look at some of the dating red flags that I might have missed early on in my dating life prior to working towards dating from a healing, secure place. So that's what I think we'll talk about today. Before I get into that, though, just a friendly reminder, if you are loving this show, loving this podcast, please, if you can, give a 5-star review. Make sure you hit the follow button so you can get updated on when I drop new episodes. If you're not following Solidarity Media, we are on Instagram at solidarity_media. Check us out. And you can also head over to our website, solidaritymediaproductions.com, to listen to these episodes and also continue to see some of the other projects we have coming up. So just wanted to shout that out. Appreciate all of the support that everybody's been showing so far. Continue to send me your stories, send me your insight. If you are watching and listening to this podcast from Spotify, I actually have some Q&A and some poll questions that you can play along with and submit. And yeah, maybe I'll read some of those out on the podcast. So go ahead and head over to Spotify and play along with me. Okay, so red flags in dating. I feel like there's a lot of advice out there around what these are and what these could be. I also think that it's different for everybody, right? Like some of the things I might have on this list might not apply to you, might not be a red flag. It might be a green flag for you. Maybe it's a yellow flag where it's sort of just like something for you to be cautious of. So as I share this, I want everybody to just keep in mind, like this is nothing that's like set in stone or concrete. Even for myself, like these might change over time. But it's a great question to kind of ask ourselves as we go into, dating for the first time or, as we jump into the sort of dating pool. What are some of the red flags that might need to give us pause about pursuing something with this person, or just things to just kind of be aware of for ourselves too. So my first red flag, not being able to define or label something as a relationship. I used to see this as kind of a challenge when I first started dating. Like, oh, he says that he wants this and he kind of wants that, and he's not really using the word relationship. I wonder what's going on there. Let me try to, people please this person into a relationship with me. But now, I definitely like if someone is telling you straight out the gate that, they want something a little more casual, not no labels, nothing defined or whatever, that to me says that they are not looking for a relationship. This is not going to go the way that I want it to go. And I ultimately need to let this be either a friendship or just nothing at all. Sometimes I'll get caught up in bad examples from, previous dates where, a guy tells me, oh, I'm not looking for a relationship. I just, dating around or whatever. And then like a month goes by and he's basically living with someone. So, at that point I kind of have to understand that, okay, it's maybe not so much that someone's isn't looking for a relationship. It's just they didn't feel like they could have that with me necessarily. And that's not always a bad thing, right? Like they're weeding themselves out of the running, which is great because then I can just kind of focus on somebody who is not afraid to say, yeah, I do want a relationship. And that's ultimately why I'm out here dating. I think in the dating world, because there are so many options, and especially in New York City, right? Like there's so many, potential matches that you could come across in your day to day, that not you have to be really, really clear and specific as to what it is that you're looking for and why you're on this date right now. Is it just to have fun? Is it just to meet new people? Maybe you just moved to the city. Or is it really to find that, long term kind of relationship? Are you looking for an open relationship? Are you looking for, friendship? Um, I like to be able to just really be clear and understand that from the outset. And the second I kind of sense that the other person really isn't able to do that for themselves, that to me says, okay, you don't really know what you want yet. You're not really sure about this connection, if it's strong enough to say, like, yeah, I could see this, becoming a relationship. So maybe we just like pump the brakes and kind of reassess, right? Um, so that's the first red flag for me that I must stick true to. No longer trying to convince people otherwise. Another red flag I have is, no, when there's no outward affection, or it seems like they're trying to hide that they're with me. No secret dating anymore. No secret dating. I will not be a secret. I will be the main story. No. But I don't want to. I don't want to feel like I can't hold your hand in public, or I can't be affectionate with you because you're concerned that people are going to think you're in a relationship with me. You're on the hook with someone, or whatever. If I like being in your company and I feel comfortable enough to want to be affectionate with you, if there's no ability to kind of reciprocate that, I'd rather just not even move forward with it. It's not to say that on the first few dates we need to be all over each other. But if I get the sense that, maybe the person that I'm dating is sort of uncomfortable with that physical connection, or those, intimate signs of affection, um, then I might kind of see that as a red flag of like, okay, again, maybe you're not really feeling this. Maybe, this isn't the right time for you. You need to really think about what it is that you want, all of that. And I might kind of, put a little pause on the dating, or at least like put a pause on the physical stuff until we have a full, better conversation as to like where we see this going. Another dating red flag, when there's no follow through. So I'm the type of person that I don't mind if a guy messages like right after the date. I actually think it's really sweet when I get the, did you make it home safe text? Like I'm definitely one of those people that sends that, or just like, hey, hope you made it home safe. I think it's very just, sweet and caring, considerate. So I like that sort of, and I like that sort of follow through, right? Like, even before the date starts, right? Checking in, confirming the time, the location, whatever, when we're going to get there. And then afterwards, checking in, like, hope you had a great time. I really enjoyed seeing you. Would love to see you again, right? Like that follow through, to hopefully the next date. Because I think that's sometimes where I tend to, find the struggle in dating, or where most of my fatigue in dating kind of comes from, is just like putting in a lot of effort to really like see this person, show up, look great for the date, have a good time, all of those things. And then not really hearing from them for a week or two. And my feelings have kind of started to fizzle out. Or, my life starts to get busy. I'm kind of forgotten about you. Like, I get a little disinterested. I want that sort of consistency in my partner. And so like that good follow through, even if it's, not necessarily like we immediately go on the next date, just checking in. Hey, how's your week going? What you got planned this weekend, right? Like, you know, I'm not a big back and forth texter. I prefer, even in my friendships, like I'm really only texting my friends to meet up, right? Like when do you want to get together again so we can talk and hang out, and I can catch up with them in person. So, I don't need a ton of back and forth either. I think like the sooner I can either know like, oh, okay, he's still interested, still wants to see me, still wants to keep going. Like that to me is all positive green flags, right? When it starts to like fade out and I'm not really hearing from you as much, or like I have to be the one to kind of set the date, find the location, pick the time, like all of these things. It just doesn't feel like you're really that interested in me if you're not really willing to follow through on what you intend to do with me. So no follow through is definitely a big red flag. Another red flag I've kind of noticed is important for myself, at least, is when you talk about your previous relationships, are you bad mouthing your ex, or at the same time, are you bragging about your ex? So this kind of like, it kind of goes both ways, and it's an interesting one. I'd love to hear your feedback on what you think about this red flag, right? So first one, obviously bad mouthing your ex, right? It's important for me to know that for me, and as I go into my dating journey, I don't want to just like, bounce from person to person or relationship to relationship. I want to learn from each kind of interaction that I have, learn about myself, learn about what I want, right? I'm going to go into it with as much clarity and onus of myself as I can. But if the relationship ultimately doesn't work out, okay, what is it that I can take from this, so that way in the next relationship I just have a little bit more understanding or clarity about, what kind of pattern I might be repeating. And so if I meet somebody who just has nothing but like bad things to say about their ex, they're blaming them for everything, and they did this and they did that, and they're not taking any kind of accountability for, their role in the relationship or what they could have done better, boundaries they could have set, things that they could have, done to maybe improve the relationship. That to me is just like, it's not very flattering. It is a little bit, it gives me caution, right? To just say, okay, I don't want to be the next person that you're bad mouthing at the next day, like, are you going to really find value in a relationship with me, or are you just going to get what you need, and then the second I, you know, say something or do something sour for you, you're going to move on. Um so that's definitely one thing, like how somebody speaks about their previous relationships is kind of, something I kind of note. But then also on the flip side, if they're over kind of like bragging in a way about their previous relationships. So what I mean by this is like, I've had guys tell me, I'm used to dating supermodels. I'm used to dating like drop dead gorgeous women. The last girl that I was with, she was a total knockout, and all this stuff. And while that's great for you, it kind of like, it feels like either it's this backhanded compliment of, you know, I guess maybe you find me attractive enough to date you. Or it gives me this question and this anxiety of just like, wait, am I attractive enough to date you? Right? Like that comparing myself to your exes like suddenly starts to come into play. And that doesn't feel great, definitely when it's early on into dating. If I'm suddenly in this competition, with your exes, it's a little weird. It's suddenly like, oh, she set the bar really high and you gotta be up here. And I guess that's great. That's awesome. I definitely don't want anybody to feel like they're settling with me by any means. But if you feel impelled to like say that to me in that kind of manner, it is a little disrespectful. It's a little inconsiderate. I don't feel like it's like you're really, I don't know. excited to be with me necessarily because you're, just gushing over this person that you, again, ultimately didn't continue a relationship with. But instead of like, um, talking about why it didn't work out, what you learned from that relationship, you're rather just like putting this person on a pedestal and essentially saying, you weren't good enough, which is a little disheartening. So that's kind of a little bit of a red flag for me. I don't know, but it could be controversial. So please tell me what you think. How they talk about their ex, I feel like is an important thing to understand or to consider. I do think it's an important conversation to have too. Like some people tell me like, oh, I don't talk about, my past relationships with the person that I'm dating. And I guess to an extent, like I can respect that. I can understand like maybe it was traumatic. Maybe, there's just things that you're not ready to share, or you want to build a certain amount of trust with the person that you're dating before you have that conversation. But for me, I think it does provide, it builds more trust, right? Especially if you did learn things about yourself and I get a better sense of, okay, these are the types of patterns for you. And it's something that I can be aware of and we can sort of talk about and check in on in the moment when that kind of comes up, right? Because I don't want either of us to be projecting things from our past onto our current relationship. So if we can catch those things in the moment together and really just move forward through dialogue, I think the dating experience will just be that much better for the both of us, right? And then this last one, this might be more of like a yellow flag, but and it's also controversial. So please tell me what you think. If they are still overly friendly with their ex or with a recent like past hookup. So here's the thing. I think it's super great if you are able to end things on a good standing with an ex, right? I think that shows progress, that shows maturity, that shows growth. However, if I realize that you are not just in good standings with them, but you are, seeing them regularly, hanging out together pretty often, calling each other, sharing intimate things with one another, right? Like there's a closeness there that maybe extends a little bit past friendship, right? Like not quite girlfriend level, but also not like a friend level. I don't know. This is why it's like a yellow flag for me right now, because it can be complicated and every circumstance is different, right? You might have been married to this person and that bond and that connection is not just something that you can easily break, right? If it was a very long-term relationship, just kind of ending and cutting off communication with that person might not be feasible. If you work together, right? Like that's a huge thing, right? If you have to see this person regularly, it doesn't really, there's no way you can avoid not having an interaction with them. That I can totally understand. And I think as long as there's a clear boundaries and a mutual understanding between the two of you that you are just friends, then that's fine. However, I have found that it's difficult. It can be tricky and sticky trying to stay just friends with an ex. Especially if it was a situationship, if it was a friends with benefit kind of thing where you were hooking up and it was more sexual in nature, right? Like it can be very easy to spark something up again if we're dating and maybe we hit like a lull or there's a little bit of a fizzle there. I want to just be able to trust and know that I'm dating you and I'm getting like my full shot, right? Like you're not like secretly leaving the door open with somebody else. So that way, if this doesn't work out, you can just jump right over to them, right? That kind of sucks. And that doesn't feel fair. And I'd much rather just have that honesty. Like I don't want to date exclusively. Like I'm talking to other people, I'm doing these other things. That way I know either we need to have more conversation or, okay, this isn't for me, right? That yellow flag suddenly becomes a big red flag, and it's like, okay, I'm looking for, kind of exclusivity. I'm looking for, um, just that opportunity to really get to know the full you and not you plus this other person on the side, right? So let me know if that's a red flag for you. Is it okay for the person that you're dating or even the person that you're in a relationship with? Is it okay for them to still be friendly with their ex? Do you have like specific boundaries or agreements between each other that make it feel safe, secure, understanding, and truly just friends, right? Let me know. Hit me up. I'd love to hear it because for me, I just went back and forth on it. And it was like, as I thought about it, I'm like, no, you know what? This is important for me to ask and to be aware of as I go into dating. Like, how close are you with your exes? Let me know. Yeah, so those are some of my main red flags in dating. I think it was really important for me to be able to articulate those and like really have a stamp on what those, look like or sound like, because too often in dating, I will just let things slide and just say, okay, yep, I'll look past that and deal with the emotions when they come, right? Like, oh, okay, yeah, your ex is hitting you up right now and you're, gonna meet up with her for drinks after this. Cool, great. Well, call me in the morning. Like, no, I want to be able to have that clarity for myself and also just that trust in my own instinct, like this is those anxious, bubbly feelings. There's not always a spark, Olivia. Sometimes it is a red flag. It is a sign telling you this person is not aligning with what you're looking for. And it's okay to either put a pause on dating and put a pause on the relationship to really talk about, what it is that we both want, or to move on and say, okay, we're on different pages. Let me keep it moving. So I hope this was helpful for you all. Again, please share and send me your dating red flags. Would also love to do an episode on dating green flags. So be on the lookout for that and share with me as well. As always, if you are loving this show, please give us a 5-star review. We are now available on all platforms where you can stream, watch, and listen to podcasts. So you can find us everywhere. But as always, you can reach out at solidarity_media or head to solidaritymediaproductions.com to learn more. Thank you all for listening today and for your continued support. I look forward to continuing this journey together. Bye.